Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? Pigskin Addicts here, back again with another live stream. I wanted to go live yesterday after the game, but I was not feeling well, so that's why I had to hold off on it and do it today. So I wanted to come on here and basically cover what went down. Chargers and Falcons yesterday. I had a lot of thoughts on this game, and there's so much going on around the Chargers and all of the talk and everything. Excuse me. And I just cannot get away from the fact that these guys are still 5-3 right now. Still 5-3, and only a game outside of Buffalo and Kansas City, right? For the best record in the AFC. So with everything that has went wrong, I still it's just maybe it's a fan in me, but I still feel so more optimistic now than I ever have. I don't know, man. I just it is we're lucking our way into these victories, and there's really no way to explain it. There's just different things that have went on. Like the Chargers never had this kind of luck. Any other year, this is a 3-5 team instead of a 5-3. But there has just been crazy, ridiculously crazy things that have been happening this season that somehow we're 5-3. I don't understand it. I cannot quite quantify it. I really can't. Let's see. Bareness says some way somehow we are 5-3. Exactly. I feel the same way. I feel this. I absolutely feel the same way. There's no reason why we should be 5-3 right now. To be honest with you, rough to be without Mike and Kenny. Yeah, we need them back ASAP. Yeah, we do. We do. But honestly, again, the optimism is there. But the optimism is there for me now, especially because I seen what Justin Herbert looked like yesterday. Justin Herbert looks like he is, if he's not back to 100%, he's up in the 90, 95-ish percentage area. He had a lot of spin on the ball yesterday. His ball was coming out really, really, really hot, really hot. That is a good sign. And, the Chargers just don't have the receiving talent, to be honest. The ball was spinning yesterday. It was popping. It looked good coming out of his hands. And he was moving around the pocket a lot better as well, too. He took a few hits, but he got up. He got right back up. He didn't wince or anything. Fox did a really good job of showing his face after a lot of the hits. And I didn't see any wincing at all. I didn't see any wincing. I just seen him have the same poker face that he always has. That was a very, very, very good sign to me. I think he's getting closer to 100%. This is a very good sign for the Chargers. That's honestly why I feel so optimistic, is because if we get Herbert back to 100% or anywhere close to that, then the Chargers have a chance, right? With pretty much no matter else what's going on with the team, if Herbert is back to close to 100%, we have a chance. So that's why I'm feeling more optimistic. That's why I woke up feeling more optimistic, because I'm watching Herbert. He looks like the old Herbert to me. I can't wait till the tape drops. I want to cover that, because I know my eyes weren't fooling me, but he looked very, very good. There was obviously some huge drops in the game. Gerald, Everett, Josh Palmer. I mean, damn. Herbert's stats weren't anything to write home about, but they were okay. The receiving core was okay. They obviously need to be better next week against the Niners, but damn, man, it's ridiculous how we're 5-3 right now. For once, the luck is going our way, for sure, for sure. You look all the way back to the Monday night game against Denver, the lucky fumble recovery that we had. Things like this don't normally happen for the Chargers. That's why I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I'm just thinking, like, is this a year where things are gonna come together? I don't know. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but it's different to be on this side of the luck scale than what we've normally been, and that's who the Chargers normally have been. They've been the unlucky, the snake bitten franchise, but I don't know. I really don't know what to think about it. It just shows how talented Chargers really are, and that they win in spite of bad play calling offensively and defensively. Right, correct. And you know what? I wanted to come on here, and like I said, like, this channel here, I created it to be fair, right? I wanted to give a perspective of a fan. I'm no insider. I'm no professional talker or whatever on TV. I'm just a fan, but I wanted to give a fair perspective of a fan, right? A fan who watches football, and a fan I can get on my team just like I can get on any other team. But I wanted to be fair and come on here and say I think Brandon Staley did a good job. I think he did a good job after the first quarter, right? Because the way that the first quarter was trending yesterday, I said it on the video that I posted last week that if things go the way that the Falcons want them to go, they can run for 300 yards. And the way that it was trending, the Falcons had, I think, close to 100 yards or maybe over 100 yards. I don't know. I think it was like 95, 96 yards rushing in the first quarter. They had 90 something yards rushing in the first quarter. It was trending to be a 300 burger on the ground if the Falcons kept doing what they were doing. But I have to give credit to Staley. And again, I can't wait for the tape to come out. I want to see if the adjustment actually was made. But it looks like there was a small adjustment made by Staley, right? Bringing Derwin James down in the box, like pretty much every single play. So you're in a 4-4, right? You have 8 guys in the box, kind of a 4-4 alignment. When I was watching tape, when I was breaking down some tape during the week, the Browns had a pretty good plan against the Falcons when they played a couple of weeks ago. And they brought 8 down in the box. They had 4 down linemen, and they had 3 linebackers and a safety, or 2 safeties come down. They always had 8 in the box, and that's the front that they gave the Falcons. And they were not able to run the ball as well as they normally did against the Browns. The Browns kind of shut it down a little bit. So, and it's a very, very simple, adjustment to make, right? You just go, single high safety. That's what the Chargers normally play all the time, right? Except Derwin James he's in that joker position where he's playing the robber a little bit, but he's coming down looking for the run. And that's what he did after the first quarter. So, and they blitzed him a couple of times too as well. And the run blitzes got home. So I have to give Brandon Staley some credit. He did adjust. He showed that he adjusted to that yesterday. Now, the first quarter was just, damn, I was like, man, this is not going to end well. I didn't think he was going to adjust, but it looked like he adjusted. That's why I can't wait for the tape to come out. If the tape comes out and it shows it, I will, give a full-throated, not a full-throated endorsement, but a full-throated, piece of credit to Brandon Staley for adjusting, because I did not think that he was going to adjust, because the Falcons, they are a heavy run team. They throw a lot of window dressing, on their plays, and they have a lot of motion and things like that, but they are a power run team. And when they get to the power running game, that's really when they're at their best, because they are able to gain 5-6 yards. You've seen Cordell Patterson. He came back yesterday. That was his first time playing in 5 weeks, I think it was. And he looked pretty good. He looked pretty damn good, pretty explosive. The Falcons got 3 running backs, and they got a quarterback that can run too. That's a hard team to stop. Now, I do the same way that I'm giving Staley a little bit of credit, I have to blame the Falcons head coach, Arthur Smith. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what his game plan was, but they came out throwing the ball in, especially after the first quarter. They came out, I don't know what they were doing throwing the ball. Why? Why do you come out throwing the ball? Marcus Mariota he's not a great quarterback from the pocket. He never has been since he's been in the league. He's always been a guy you have to move the pocket outside. You have to gimmick up the offense a little bit. He's not a guy that can just drop back 30 times and throw the ball downfield. He doesn't have the mechanics. He doesn't have the accuracy. He's just not that kind of guy. Like you have to craft your offense around him, and you have to craft it around him very carefully. You can't play him like he's any other quarterback. The Falcons, they opened the window for the Chargers. And, again, I'm not going to come on here and give Brandon Staley all this credit without, looking at what the Falcons didn't do. They didn't do a good job. Like, I don't know why they stopped running the ball. There was no reason for them to stop running the ball. They completely abandoned it in the second half. I don't know what they were trying to do. As far as the Chargers go in the defensive backfield, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. Asante Samuel Jr. is pretty good. Michael Davis is pretty good. All these guys are pretty good. They can hold up, one-on-one with Mariota in the pocket, right? If it's somebody else in the pocket, maybe not. But Mariota in the pocket, he doesn't know how to navigate. He is not the best at reading defenses. And he holds the ball a lot. And you see how pressure was able to get to him. He holds the ball a lot. This is something that a lot of running quarterbacks have an issue with. They think that they are going to just be able to hold the ball and create something on the fly every single time. And they don't realize the defensive line, the linebackers, the blitz and safeties, they're coming to get you. And the Chargers were able to pressure Mariota a lot more than what I thought. I didn't think that they were going to pressure him all that much, just because I thought the Falcons were going to stay on schedule. But you have to blame Arthur Smith for that, because that game was in control. The Falcons had that thing under control, 10-0, and had the ball. They should have kept running the ball. I don't know why they stopped. Mariota is not that guy. He's not that guy to be dropping back and throwing these bombs. So as much as I have to credit Brandon Staley, Arthur Smith, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? They had a chance. They honestly had a chance. If they would have kept running the ball, I don't know how you don't run the ball. If you guys watched the game last night, Kansas City and Tennessee, I think Malik Willis, the rookie quarterback, he started. Ryan Tannehill was injured. I think he threw the ball like 13 or 14 times, right? They went to overtime with the Chiefs. They only threw the ball like 14 times. And the previous week against the Texans, they threw the ball one time in the second half. Mike Vrabel, the whole coaching staff, they know we're going to run the ball. We're going to run it through Derrick Henry and the backup running back. We're going to run the ball. It's up to you to stop it. We're going to run. We're going to take time off the clock. We're going to keep your offense off the field, all of that type of stuff. That's basically how you win a game, right? It's basically how you cut a game in half. Running the ball, running the ball, running the ball. I thought that's what the Falcons were going to do, but I think Arthur Smith got a little too cute. I honestly think he got a little too cute. I don't think that the game plan yesterday did not call for them to drop back and throw the ball a bunch, especially with Mariota down the field. Unless the guy's wide open, he's not that accurate. He had Kyle Pitts on a couple of downfield shots, and he misfired on those. Kyle Pitts was open a couple of times. So if you're going to do that, you have to make sure that you are running plays where guys are really, really open downfield, like super open. Like there has to be some trickery involved and all of this stuff. You can't just drop back. That's what the Chargers face pretty much week in and week out. So you can't just drop back and think you're going to throw it on them with a far, far inferior quarterback from the pocket. I honestly think that was something that helped us. I think that helped the Chargers a lot. But again, these type of situations normally don't happen to the Chargers. They normally don't happen. They normally don't. These lucky situations where a coach gets too big for his britches and starts doing things that they don't normally do. That's normally what the Chargers do. That's not what teams normally do against us. So again, 5-3, it looks good right now. I feel good right now. I feel good, especially watching Herbert. The defense picked it up. They definitely picked it up on the ground. The rushing defense in the second half was much better, even though the Falcons didn't run the ball a lot. I think a lot of that had to do with how the Chargers played the run game. There were a few runs of 10 and 12 yards, but that's what the Falcons do, so you can't really – I'm not really going to, sit here and bash the run defense, even though it hasn't been great. But I'm not going to bash the run defense because that's what the Falcons do. They just run it. They're going to get – those plays are going to be there. Those are their bread and butter plays. They're going to get 12, 10, 14 yards or whatever. They're going to get those type of plays because they run the ball so much. They're going to get them against pretty much any defense that they play. So I don't think the Chargers were doing anything that, any other defense wouldn't do against them, especially in the second half. So I have to credit the run defense, and I have to credit the little adjustment that they made. I really do. I thought that was a very, very crucial adjustment to come down, bring somebody else in the box, and make Mariota beat you from the pocket. And he couldn't do it. And as talented as Marcus Mariota, I'm a huge Marcus Mariota fan. I watched him at Oregon. He was the Heisman Trophy winner, I think, in 2015. I watched him that season, his Heisman season, when they played UCLA. I watched him at the Rose Bowl. He was incredible. He was absolutely incredible. I honestly thought he would be a lot better in the NFL than what he is. But his throwing, his mechanics, his passing, all of that stuff, it did not translate from college to the NFL. So this guy, he's gonna have a job in the NFL for as long as he wants, but his style of play requires a certain type of offensive mind to make that happen. And I think Arthur Smith is the guy, but we can like you cannot have you cannot throw this guy back there and tell him to win games. I think that's unfair, and I think that's what happened yesterday. And I think the Chargers benefited hugely from that. We benefited from that. He is a quarterback. This is the way that I thought the Seahawks would play with Geno Smith. Hey, drop back and win us the game. That's not the way the Seahawks played, but that's the way the Falcons played yesterday. Drop back, win us the game. Throw it down the field as much as you can against tightly contested receivers and stuff like that. That's how I thought the Seahawks would play. The Seahawks didn't play us that way. Seahawks got the run game going and the play action game. But Mariota he's just not that guy. He's not that guy. Thank God they went to that game plan because that helped us out a lot. It really did. Really, really did. Now, as far as the Chargers offense goes, I was encouraged yesterday by watching Herbert, looking at him downfield. He was pushing the ball downfield. It didn't matter the play call. He was pushing the ball downfield. He was looking for the deepest, most open guy that he can find. And that's what it looked like to me watching the game. Again, I can't wait till the film comes out because he was trying to push the ball downfield, not necessarily throw bombs, but he was trying to push the ball downfield, right? 10, 15 yards, whatever. He was trying to make those plays. And he did for the most part. But again, there was drops, more drops. Gerald Everett, Josh Palmer with the big drop that caused the interception. I seen Austin Eckler had a drop as well too. Bandy just does not look like an NFL receiver to me. I've said this. I love Michael Bandy's story. I loved everything about all that, but Michael Bandy was not. He is the Chargers have to do something. They have to do something as far as receiver goes. Michael Bandy cannot be the guy out there running these routes. He was not getting open. He could not separate. He couldn't separate. And Herbert was looking for him. There was some good route concepts that he was running, but he could not separate. He couldn't separate from his guys. He's too small. He does not have the catch radius. Like they have to do something about him. They have to do something about him. They have to get another guy in there. They have to sign somebody off the streets. I know Keelan Doss. I think he's a former Raider. I think he's a former Jaguar as well. So I think he's in the Chargers practice squad. Maybe they got to elevate him, bring him up, see what he can do. But Bandy just does not cut it. And there's too many times. It wasn't, I didn't see it as much this game, but Bandy was lining up, especially when he lines up in the split end position, when he's flanked out all the way closest to the sideline, right on either side. That is a recipe for not necessarily disaster, but the ball's not going there. The best corners play on the outside, right? They're going to come up. They're going to press Bandy. He's small. He's not fast. He doesn't get off the line very well. And you are going to be able to stifle him. You're going to be able to reroute him. So whatever route he's running, you're going to be able to reroute it. The timing is going to be off. Herbert can't look there. That's automatically one option that is eliminated. And if he's running the primary route on that option, then Herbert has to go and, look at the other options, right? Or improvise and try to hold the ball, maybe take a sack, maybe, run for a gain of 3 or 4 or whatever. It just does not make sense. You cannot have this small dude out there running these routes. These are routes for an X receiver to be running. These are Mike Williams is the X, right? I don't know if people know, football as far as the position. X is normally your split end receiver, right? Your Y is normally your tight end, right? Your Z is normally your guy going in motion, right? The Keenan Allen, the guy who works the slot, or he can work outside as well too. But these are X receiver routes that Michael Bandy is running, and I don't know why Joe Lombardi continues to do that. Why do you put this guy out there to do that? The ball's not going to him. I don't think in the time that I've seen Bandy, I think these past two games, I have not seen the ball go to him, get completed maybe more than twice when he's running these X routes. Because these DBs, they know that he is not going to run past them. So they can be extra aggressive at the line of scrimmage. They can press him off the line of scrimmage, right? And whatever route that he's going to run, right, out, in, whatever, they can be aggressive. They can jump it. They can be all over him. So they know the ball is not going there. They have to, if they're going to play Michael Bandy, they have to be more creative in what they do with him, right? He has to be the guy going in motion all the time. He always has to, he should be the guy going in motion most of the time. He should be working the inside. He should be working the slot. He should not be running these X routes. It doesn't make sense. Like I posted a couple of screenshots from the Seattle game on my Twitter page last week, and it didn't make sense because last week we seen Tariq Woolen, right, for the Seahawks. They're calling this guy the next Richard Sherman. I think that's a disservice. He's better than Richard Sherman. Tariq Woolen from the Seahawks he has the size of Derwin James, but the speed of Deion Sanders. He's 6'4". He's a corner. He's 6'4", like 215, and he runs a 4.26. And Bandy was lined up against him I don't know how many times. Do you think Herbert's going there? Do you really think Herbert's going there? And Tariq Woolen is playing up against this guy. He's pressuring him. He's pressuring Bandy. He's not running past. Bandy's not running past nobody running a 4.26. Not a chance. That's stupid speed. That's Tyreek Hill, generational speed. That's who you have, running route. You have Bandy running routes against this guy. And if Joe Lombardi had any type of offensive prowess, right, you're automatically not going there. You're not doing that, right? You're going to move this guy in and out. You're going to run some stack routes, or you're going to run student body left, student body right, the trips. You're not going to let this guy get pressure on your little 5'9", wide receiver. You're not just going to line him up out there. So, the cornerbacks can take advantage of him physically. You're not going to do that. And I didn't see it as much this game. I have to say I didn't see it as much. But at any point you see that, that it's not going to be Herbert's not going to go there. The ball is going somewhere else. It's either a run or he's going somewhere else. I was looking at looking to see that making sure that Bandy and Trey McKitty did not line up on the same side this week as well too. They did that against the Seahawks a couple of times last week. That's either a run or the ball's going to the other side. Bandy is not going to be, running the X routes. That he's not going to be a primary option. Trey McKitty can't catch, and he is a blocking tight end. So the ball is going somewhere else. It's either a run or it's going somewhere else, right? So these very predictable indicators for defenses against the Chargers offense. I was looking for that yesterday. I didn't see a whole lot of it. So that is a good thing. And I think that ultimately led to more success on offense. But still, the creativity is not there with these other guys. You got to find a way to use these guys and try to get as much out of them as they can, right? Bandy has a specific skill set. You've seen him in the preseason. He was able to work the middle of the field, especially against zone defenses, right? He can read defenses from that slot position. He can sit down in zones, right? And he can catch balls. That's what he does the best. He does not do anything on the outside very well. He has no straight line speed. He can't get away from guys. He can't get away from the press man coverage. He can't do that. You have to find a way to put these guys in the best position that they can make plays in, right? I think the number 11, Jason Moore, he's much bigger than Bandy. If you're going to have anybody on the outside, he should be running these X routes, not Bandy, right? And I don't even know how good Jason Moore is, but he looks the part. So, why not? It doesn't make sense to throw guys into positions that they are not going to make the most impact in. And I think with and I'm not even getting on Bandy because it's not his fault. He does one thing well. We know that he does one thing well. He does that over the middle pretty well, right? In the Wes Welker, Julian Edelman type of thing. Put him there more. You got to put him there more. I want to see more of him there. I think Gerald Everett was okay yesterday. Again, another big, huge drop to start the second half. He would have had like a 30-yard game, but he just dropped the ball. The ghost of Jared Cook is alive and well, but it's I don't know. I don't know. There needs to be more creativity offensively, and Joe Lombardi has you have the ultimate green light to be creative as you want to offensively. This is not a plug and play offense. You can't lose Mike Williams. You can't lose Keenan Allen and then get guys off the practice squad and say, okay, you're going to run these exact same routes as these guys did. No, it doesn't work that way. This ain't a plug and play thing. you have to put guys in positions where they can be effective. Vandy cannot run the same routes. Keenan Allen can't run the same routes as Mike Williams, right? Jason Moore, same thing. You got to get these guys in position to where they can make plays. It's imperative. It's imperative that Joe Lombardi does this. It really does. Let's see. I see that. I have not seen them use Joe Reed. Yeah, me either. I think he's. Is he on the practice squad still? I don't even know if he got elevated. Yeah, they do need to use Joe Reed. I think he can be used as a downfield threat. He can run the X routes. That's what he did the past couple of seasons, I think. So I agree with that. You got to use Joe Reed. That's why he's there. You got to use bigger receivers. I think you have to, especially coming up against the Niners this week. You have to have very, very physical receivers. The Niners defense is extremely physical. They're going to be physical at the point of attack. They're physical up front. They play, and just by watching them, just my knowledge of watching them, they play the most like base coverage that I've seen in any team, right? So they run a 4-3. They have four down linemen, and they actually play most of the time with 3 linebackers. I very rarely see them go to like nickel or dime. Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, and the other dude, number 40, I think his name is Thomas or something like that. They actually have 3 linebackers in there. So they play their base packages. They play that like maybe like 60% of the time, I want to say. They have a lot of linebackers in there. So you're going to see a lot of linebackers in coverage on receivers next week on Sunday night. So if you have Bandy in there and he's struggling and all this stuff, like you even have, like, he can't run past any of the Niners linebackers. Those guys are fast. They're fast. They're aggressive. They're physical. They're going to have trouble. The Chargers are going to have trouble. The Justin Herbert's going to have trouble, trying to fit in passes to, these little small receivers. You got to get more physical at receiver. There has to be more physicality at receiver against the Niners, because you're not just going to complete little easy passes. They're going to press the hell out of these the practice squad guys. They're going to pressure them a lot. So yes, let's see. Bandy is a situational player, not a full-fledged starter for sure. But the injuries mean we're relying on him. Yeah, we are relying on him. And again, I'm not against relying on him, but he's got to be in more of a position to make a play. Having him at X is just, you're doing him a disservice. He's not looking good out there. He's just not like, he's just so, he's not a threat. And the defenders know it, and they come up and they press him. They know that he has no speed. So they're going to come up and press him. They're going to come up and they're going to sit on those short routes. So they're going to make it a very, very, very tough day for him out there. Let's see. Herbert looked a little more like himself yesterday. Yeah, he did. He's getting back to himself. And I think obviously it's at a perfect time. At a very very opportune time for the Chargers right now, for him to be back at his, not maybe, like I said, maybe not 100%, but maybe 90, 95%ish. It is the best time for him to be back at this now. Now going into, let's see, Bandy won't see any time at the slot unless Carter gets hurt, right? And yeah, Carter's been playing well in the slot. I think he has more. He obviously has more speed. He has more wiggle too. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of different things you can do with Bandy. Like I said, you can run a lot of student body left, a lot of student body right. It's the trips, right? You have one guy on the line of scrimmage and the other 2 receivers on the back off the line. There's a lot of things you can do with that. You can run, a lot of crossing routes and stuff like that. Then you can put Bandy in at, the slot, or you can put him in at the split end, whatever, in those student body, formations. You can do a lot with that. I would like to see more of that. But just to line him up just straight up against a quarterback out there, him on an island, like it doesn't make sense. And he's not effective that way. And he's not fast enough. He's not quick enough for that. He's obviously not big enough. But there's things that he can do that I would like to see the Chargers use more. I would like to see Joe Lombardi get more, like I said, just open up the playbook. Try something different. He has the ultimate green light now because you don't have any of your starters, right? You don't have Keenan Allen, you don't have Mike Williams, right? You got guys hurt all over the place. No Josh Kelly, Donald Parham went on IR. You have the ultimate. Now you have the ultimate green light to get as creative as you want. Let's get some pop passes in, right? Let's get some reverses, right? Let's have some like the Niners ran what was it last week against the Rams. Have the Austin Eckler, pitch it to him, let him throw it to a receiver or something like that. Just get creative, get as creative as you want. That's the opportunity that the Chargers have. Just get absolutely creative. You can because this offense can't just rely on Justin Herbert saving us 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9, or if there's a penalty that happened 3rd and 15. You can't just rely on Herbert to come out and save everybody. That's not a thing that you can really rely on. You have to be able to obviously run the ball. The Chargers, they ran the ball well enough yesterday. I didn't think they did it enough, but they ran the ball well enough. They were able to get a push, and they were able to get yards on 1st down, 2nd down. I like that. Even though the Falcons don't play the run all that well, it's still a positive, right, going forward. Maybe does Josh Kelly come back next week? Is he healthier next week? Let's hope so. But Isaiah Spiller is in there. They should feed Isaiah Spiller. I hope that they do. He has patience. He has vision. He is a guy that you obviously have to run him between the tackles. He's not a fast guy. He's not a burner. He's not going to get outside of the tackles. He's going to get caught in the NFL. I know he did a little bit of that in college, and he was able to get away with that in college. Isaiah Spiller, he's a 4'6" dude. He's not going to be able to get away with that in the NFL. He's got to run between the tackles, and he's got to pick his holes, and he's got to let his linemen set up the blocks so he can get behind them and get extra yards. But he's the guy, all that off-tackle stuff, completely wipe it out. Take all of the Isaiah Spiller off-tackle runs out of the playbook, throw them in the trash, because he ain't that guy. He's not that type of guy. And we all know it. I think the fans know it. His first run against the Seahawks, I think that was his only run of the game, when they tried to run off tackle with shotgun and he lost like 7 yards on that play. It got blown up, but he's not fast enough to outrun anybody. So he's best suited between the tackles, and the Chargers can use a lot more of that. So I'm looking for Lombardi to go to Spiller. Go from Austin Eckler to Spiller. You can run your off-tackle stuff with Eckler because Eckler can get outside, he can get the corner. Then you can come inside and kind of go, from trap to counter and all that stuff with Isaiah Spiller, because he can set up blocks. He does that very well. He did it well at Texas A&M. He did it pretty good in the preseason as well, too. And he showed something yesterday as well, too. So there is a combination there for the Chargers to run the ball. There's no excuse. The offensive line, they played pretty well yesterday as well, too. There's a formula there. Austin Eckler can run inside the tackles as well, but he can get the corner. And you have a guy that can get the corner. You have a guy right behind him who can run behind the tackles very well. That means the defense cannot play, they can't really focus in on the run game, right? You can't have guys come in and pin their ears back, right? You have to be able to stop that run game, no matter who's in the ball game, whether it's Eckler, whether it's Isaiah Spiller. Your defense has to adjust to how the running backs play. So there's a formula there, and I think that can work against the Niners. The Niners are pretty stingy on defense, but if you just continue to move the ball against them and you make it a low-scoring game, you can beat them. The Niners don't score a ton of points, but I think if you keep the game close, you run the ball, you're able to get stops, you're able to get pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo, and Garoppolo will throw you the ball too. He will throw a couple of interceptions. He is a guy. He's kind of a roller coaster dude. He can look really, really good one week, and he can look really, really bad the following week. So we've seen what they did against Denver. They stunk it up against Denver. Jimmy Garoppolo stunk it up against Denver. They weren't able to run the ball. you got to sell out on the run game coming up against the Niners. That's really your only hope in winning. That it's got to sell out, and then you got to stop what they do, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and all of that stuff. But if you stop the run game, then you're gonna have a good chance to win. The double fumble at the end had me dead, bro. It was a no, yes, no. Yeah, I know. That was crazy. That was that was great. That was great. That was so close too with Eckler. His knee looked like it was down before the ball came out. It was just so, but they called it a fumble on the field, so I knew that they were going to change it. Number 95 for the Falcons, I don't know what he was doing. I think he thought he was going to score a touchdown. He just ended up dropping the ball. That was lucky. That was, again, that lucky stuff doesn't happen to the Chargers. So once we got the ball back, I was like, okay, it was actually a little more advantageous for the Chargers because there was so much time had ran off the clock and Atlanta didn't have any more timeout. So I think once the fumble got recovered, once we recovered the fumble, it was back at the 40 or 41 or something like that. And it was only like 34 seconds left. So Herbert hit Josh Palmer on that crosser and put him right in field goal range. They're able to run the ball and then take the clock all the way down 3 seconds, right? So it's either win the game or you go into overtime. And that was more advantageous because if it had been the other way around, if he didn't fumble, there would have been some time left for the Falcons. Now, I don't think that they would have, I don't think they would have done anything, but you never know. The NFL is unpredictable. You've seen crazier plays happen than that. So I think that was a little more advantageous position that the Chargers were in. And thank God Cameron Dicker made that kick. The Chargers have had, multiple kickers this season. This is something that and all of them have been pretty good so far as well too. I don't think I've ever seen multiple kickers come in and be on special teams. So I'm happy with the job the kickers are doing. But that was a crazy play. That fumble was, man, it was crazy. Let's see. Maybe the 41ers will Charger. They can. They're up and down, man. The Niners are they're so up and down. They're the most talented team who is up and down. They're, as far as talent goes, just across the board, I think that they're up there with like the Bills. Obviously the quarterback position is not close, but talent everywhere else, offensive line, receiver, defensive line, you're talking about defensive backfield as well too, linebacker. Their talent position, their groups are like top of the league, right? They have talent everywhere. The only place that they don't have top of the league talent at this point now is quarterback. And that's it. And, they can get to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. He can win playoff games. So I don't think that they necessarily need a top talented quarterback, but they are talented across the board. It's just, I think sometimes they get way too reliant on the running game. And, Jimmy makes some of the worst decisions down the stretch. Like there are times where he makes puzzling throws, like very puzzling, very puzzling throws. And I don't know. I just don't like. I don't know. I don't know if it's in a Kyle Shanahan thing, but there's something that's like just not there sometimes with the Niners. They should be a lot better in regular seasons than what they are. I know that they have dealt with injuries as well too, but they have a running game that can really dominate. They have a dominating running game, and they can dominate with practice squad guys too. They've brought guys off of the practice squad. They've drafted guys in the 6th and 7th round who can get a bunch of yards, 150-yard games and stuff. They can dominate, but there's just like, I don't know what the element is. And I don't think it's just the quarterback. I think maybe it's Kyle Shanahan, maybe it's his play calling. But they too often they come out looking like a Super Bowl ready team, 1 week, and then the next week they come in looking like a team who maybe might be lucky to get a wild card. Like they shouldn't look like that. They shouldn't look like that for a team that has that much talent. It's very perplexing to me. I don't know why, but they can play down to the level of their competition. And we've seen it before. They don't really just go in and smash teams the way that they should. Um, they have, they've had some success there. Obviously, the Christian McCaffrey trade was huge for them, but I don't know. There's something there that is just not. When I look at them, I don't look at them and say, okay, these guys are. That's the team right there. That's the team that's going to be, in the Super Bowl at the end of the year or whatever. I never really look at them like that. I say, they have everything, and yes, they can get there. I know that they're capable of it, but they just don't be. It's something they just don't get it, man. They don't get it. Spiller needs more toes down the stretch. 100%. He has to get more. He has to get more carries, especially when it's in the second half and it's time to salt the clock a little bit. They don't be giving him carries. He needs carries. He needs carries, and especially you want that inside run game. You need that presence in the inside run game. If you can get 4 or 5 yards, in the second half, right, late in the third quarter, late in the fourth quarter, um, ball at the 40-yard line or whatever. Um, it it can do so much for your offense. It keeps everybody on schedule. It keeps the play action threat there. It just does so much. It calms the offense down. You're able to focus, right? You're not able to worry about penalties and trying to make up penalty yardage and all of that type of stuff. They need to run the ball more, and you have a guy who can run the ball inside. Isaiah Spiller has shown that he can run the ball inside. He's shown he can run the ball inside. Again, I said Austin Eckler can run the ball inside as well too, but he can get the corner. He can get the corner. He can get the edge. So you have guys who can do two totally different things, and can do it pretty damn well in the running game. There's no excuse to not get this run game going, especially going down the stretch. It's going to help everybody. It'll take pressure off of the practice squad, wide receivers, right? You don't feel like, you have to go out there and make a whole bunch of plays, 10, 12 catches or whatever. Takes pressure off of everybody. You're able to go out there, get open in play action and just do the little things. And I think if the Chargers do that, if they lean into the run game, just lean into it more. Doesn't matter if you get stopped for a 1 yard gain, if you lose 2 yards or whatever, it doesn't matter. Keep running it, continue running it. Stay with the run game. If they stay with the run game, they're going to have so much more success on offense. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to score a whole bunch of points, but they're going to be able to convert. They're going to be able to have the third and shorts, the third and threes, the third and fours, the third downs that Justin Herbert is really, really good at, right? You can move him out on the, you can move the pocket out left, right, whatever. He can go down the field. He can hit crossers. There's just so much, or he can, even run the ball for a first down himself. Like, there's so much you can do with a good run game, and they're going to have to lean into it as the season goes along. We're halfway through the season now. They need to lean into it more. I want to see them lean into it more. Definitely want to see that. Niners are getting healthy, but we keep getting hurt. Brian, we get through this matchup unscathed. Yeah. I think we will. The Niners are a physical team, though. But again, if the Niner game stays close, if it stays within, if going into the third quarter it's 17-13, then I think the Chargers are looking good, because at that point, the Niners are going to want to run the ball. At that point, you're going to have to come up. You're going to have to bring Derwin James up just like you did yesterday, and you're going to have to sell out to stop the run. And if you sell out to stop the run, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to make throws to win a ball game. And more often than not, we've seen that he has not been able to do that successfully, right? And it's not even, just interceptions or whatever. Bad throws, inaccurate throws. He's the defense gets him off his mark. His mechanics are not there, or something happens, right? There's a holding play, whatever. More times than not, he's not able to get them out of that hole. And if you put him in that hole and you say, hey, Jimmy, go dig us out of it, and the Chargers tell the Niners, we're going to put Jimmy Garoppolo in this hole, and he is going to have to win the game for you. If he does it, we'll pat him on the back. But we don't think that he can. If the Chargers play that way, I think they have a chance. I think they have a chance on Sunday night. I really, really do. I honestly think they do. But they just have to. They have to put this game in Jimmy Garoppolo's hands. They can't put this game in the hands of Christian McCaffrey or any of the other running backs. I don't know if Deebo Samuel is going to be back for this game. I know he was out. But they are getting guys back. They're getting healthier. But they got to put this game in the hands of Jimmy Garoppolo. If they put it in Jimmy's hands, I think Jimmy can give the game to the Chargers. I think he can throw us one. I think he will throw us one. It just depends on if the Chargers catch it or not. But he will throw you the ball. So he is a guy. I want the game in his hands. As much success as he's had in the league, I just don't believe that he's a guy. I really don't. And obviously the Niners don't either, because they wouldn't have drafted Trey Lance. So we'll see what happens. I do think that we'll have a chance though. Let's see, when Kelly comes back, Michelle is running back 4. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he should be on special teams when Kelly comes back, because you have 3 guys, Eckler, Kelly, and now Spiller, who all can run the gut. You got 2 guys who can get the corner in Kelly and Eckler, and then Isaiah Spiller can be a guy, a 3rd and short, 4th and short type of back. He can get them first down. So yeah, definitely. I think Michelle is I think he's running back 4 when he get back, or special teams, practice squad, whatever they want to do with him. But yeah, I think the running back position is I think it's shored up now. I'm not lucky with that fumble recovery. Winning games off of luck at times, have to be more efficient going down the stretch. 100%. 100%. Definitely have to be more efficient offensively. Defensively, they are going to have to continue to stop the run. The teams going down the stretch, the rest of the schedule, teams are going to do exactly what they've been doing against the Chargers the past couple of years. They're going to try to test the run game. They're going to try to test the run defense, and honestly, it's up to the Chargers to stop it. That's what's going to come. They're going to try to test it. The defensive backfield is pretty good. They're pretty good. They played pretty well, and with the exception for the Seattle game, they've been pretty good all season long. So they're going to try to test the run game. And, once they get the run game going and the play action game gets going, then that's when they're going to be able to throw the ball. But teams are going to come out running the ball against the Chargers. So, yes, they must stay efficient offensively and defensively. And the Chargers got to run the ball more. They have to run the ball more. They got to settle the offense down. The 3 and outs are just, the offensive play calling on those, drives are just not just predictable, but it's so, uninspired. And those drives look like 3 and outs. If you wrote down the 3 plays, they look like 3 and out drives, right? If you just wrote them down, if you didn't even watch the play happen, they just look like 3 and out drives. They have to go to the run game. They have to go to the run game more, and they have to get to the power run game more. It can't just be running out of the shotgun. You drafted a whole fullback, Xander Horvath. Use him. Go to the I formation. Get this guy in the game, right? Hand him the ball if you want to, but they have to get to more power stuff because they need to control the line of scrimmage more. And I think if you do that, right, you can not have your quarterback play well. Receivers can drop balls or whatever. All of that stuff, yes, is important. But if you control the line of scrimmage, you're going to control the game. And I think that's where they have to go. If you get the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, then you're going to be looking good, right? The mistakes are going to come. They're going to happen, yes. But if you're able to control the line of scrimmage, and that's what it comes down to, and this is what the second half of the season is going to boil down to, is who's going to be the more physical football team. The Chargers have to establish that physicality. They have to continue to come out and establish that physicality. I thought they did a pretty damn good job yesterday. That's why I woke up feeling a little more encouraged, because I thought that they were going to get their asses kicked on both sides of the ball. Now, they did for the first quarter, but they responded in the second quarter, and they got physical. And I think that really made a big difference in this game. Once completions started to get made, once Eckler scored that first touchdown, then I think it kind of took the pressure off the team. And they kind of went in there and said, okay, we are competing with these guys. Even though we know Atlanta is physical, we're competing with them, right? We're competing with them physically. It's not just about scheme. It's not just about running the ball or stopping the run and all that stuff. It's just physicality, right? Establishing that physical identity. If the Chargers can do that, they are going to be fine. if they can establish the physical identity. They have the guys up front on both sides of the ball. They got the guys on the offensive line. They got the guys on the defensive line. They just got to be physical. They just have to be physical. And every game coming out, for the rest of the season, they have to be physical, have to be as physical as they possibly can. They have to establish that physical identity. That presence needs to be there. They have to. There's no other options, right? You have injuries all around. There's a bunch of stuff going on. We get it. That physical mentality has to be there. Be as physical as you possibly can. And it's got to show up on Sunday night. That's the only way the Chargers have a chance. If you come out lollygagging, playing, uninspired, soft football, then the Niners will kick your ass, right? It doesn't matter how Jimmy Garoppolo's playing, they will kick your ass. So they have to come out. They have to be the more physical team. They got to come out and punch teams in the mouth, basically. We can talk scheme all day long, and I love talking scheme. I love breaking down tape. I love doing all of that stuff. But if they are not playing a physical brand of football, they don't have a chance. That's really the only way that the Chargers have a chance. Is the only way they have a chance to get to the playoffs. Only way they have a chance to make noise in the playoffs is if they are physical, and they have to establish that. They have to start establishing it now. And this was a good start against the Falcons. They have to keep it up, though. They have to keep that up. That cannot be a reason why the Chargers are not going anywhere. Is because they're not physical. You can't have that. Definitely can't have that. See, those excuses about Spiller being a BPU liability or exaggerated became a strong suit of his by year 3 at A&M. No reason why Shoney. Right? Exactly. Yes. I agree. I 100% agree with that because we seen what he did yesterday, and he did not stand out. He didn't stand out negatively at all. And that's the one thing you see, and I've talked about this before, rookie running backs. That's what keeps them off the field so much, right? If they are not able to get their blocking assignments, if they're able to just do the whole Ole thing and let anybody just come in and hit your quarterback, you will not play in the NFL. You will not play. We've seen really good running backs lose their jobs because of it. We've seen guys get cut because of it. Star running backs. That has always been a thing in the NFL, and running backs know this. They know this all the time. Anytime I've seen any interviews with any type of running backs, right? Young, veterans, retired guys, they know that this is a crucial part of the game. It's more important than you running the ball, right? It's more important than anything that you do. That is the number one thing that you have to understand is your assignments, your blocking assignments. If you do not pick up blitzes, then you cannot play. And I didn't see anything from Isaiah Spiller that said that he can't do that. And he did do it very well at A&M. And he did it against some very good competition as well, too. You got NFL players. You got Alabama, right? You're playing against Alabama. You're playing against Tennessee. You're playing against all these SEC schools with big, huge defensive recruits, guys who go to the league, guys who star in the league, and you're doing it against defenses who play, pretty similar styles to NFL defenses, right? The Georgias and all that stuff. You have a lot of experience, especially if you're, if you stay at an SEC school for more than 2 years, you're already going to have experience. It doesn't matter if you even played in a real game or not. You've already practiced for 2 years against multiple NFL players, multiple future NFL players. There's something there that if he was bad at this, or if this was an issue, this would have been talked about for a long, long time. Stuff would have came up in camp about it, but I didn't see anything from anybody, talking about it. It's just, I don't know. He fell into the doghouse with Brandon Staley, Joe Lombardi. I don't know what happened. Maybe there was something that happened that didn't get reported or whatever. Maybe he was showing up late or so. I don't know. But I happen to think that him being in the doghouse is, something that was off the field. I don't think it has anything to do with him being on the field. He's a good player. He's a good player, and it's still perplexing to me. I still think about when Staley was saying that for him to play, he has to be one of the 3 best running backs on the field for the week or whatever. Like, so if you draft him, you use a 4th-round draft pick on him, you're saying he's not one of the 3 best running backs on the team. Aside from Eckler and Kelly, who else is better than him, right? Sonny Michel is not. Uh, it, it doesn't make sense. Hopefully, we see more of him. I do hope that we do see more of him because he showed something yesterday. And again, you cannot have enough. You cannot have enough guys who can run hard between the tackles, right? Who can still pick up yardage between the tackles, even if they get contacted at 1 yard, they're still able to fall forward for 5 yards. Isaiah Spiller does that. He does that. I've seen enough from him to know that he does that. Now, his ball security and all of that stuff, hopefully that is there as well too. But I know that he can pick up blitzes, and I know that he can fall forward, and I know he can run, and I know he can finish runs. So if he can do all of this stuff, we need to see more of him because the Chargers run game, whether they feel like he is one of the best, 3 running backs or whatever, they need him because the run game needs him because they have to fill in. They have to fill in offense for, all the players who are injured. They have to fill it in, and they're going to need a run game, and they're going to need to take time off the clock, and they're going to need to keep opposing offenses off the field. So they're going to need him. I do agree with that 100%. Michelle should be the personal protector on punt from here on. Yeah. Agreed. Definitely agreed. Definitely. Let's see. Why not bring back Tyron Johnson? I think he got signed to. I think the Texans signed him on their active roster. So he ain't. Unless something else has happened, unless they released him or something. I'm not aware of it, but unless that has happened, I think he's signed. I'm curious why they haven't tried a passing play with Spiller. Right. I think, yeah, he was really the one thing that I seen when I watched some of his highlights, he was very, very good with the screen game. So I'm looking for him to get involved in that. They should have some type of packages for him as far as the screens go, because he is a guy that can set up his blocks. And then that's pretty much all a screen is, right? You're making sure you set up your blocks. If you set up your blocks, you're going to be able to spring it for a 15, 20-yard gain or maybe even more. But that guy, yeah, he does that very well. His vision is very, very, very good. It's outstanding out of the backfield. There needs to be emphasis on balance moving forward. Herbert throwing 40-plus practice squad receivers is less than ideal. 100%. Yes, sir. You're on the money, Craig Smith. Yeah, definitely. There has to be more balance. And there has to be I think Lombardi, his go-to and what we've seen from him so far, like in these 1.5 years from him, is this hurry up stuff that he'll get going, right? If he thinks the offense is struggling, he'll go to the hurry up, right? Hurry up and a quick stick play, right? And whatever, right? He needs to be deliberate. And I think that's the most important thing going forward with all of these injuries, right? Be as deliberate as you possibly can. Take as much time off the clock as you possibly can. There's no rush. And there's no need to rush. You should try. Your goal should be to win the game running as little, right? Minimal offensive plays as you possibly can, because you don't have your stars out there. You don't have your number 2 tight end. You don't have your number 1 wide receivers, right? You don't have your number 2 running back. You don't have your guys out there. So you should try to run as little offensive plays as possible. Take as much time off the clock as you need to. There's no need to rush, right? Especially if you're not down by, more than 14 points or whatever. There's no need to rush. Come out there, be deliberate as you possibly can in your offensive approach, because all that's going to do, if you keep converting on third down, all that's going to do is continue to take more time off the clock, right? And whether or not you actually score points, it is going to put the other team at a disadvantage, right? They are going to, they're especially, the perfect example would be against the Niners, right? If the Niners come out and go, 3 and out on their first possession, right? The Chargers go down the field. They don't go 3 and out. Let's say they convert, 3 or 4 first downs, right? On third down. Whether or not they score, whether or not they kick a field goal and score, they're taking time off of the clock, right? And they're putting more and more doubt in the heads of a team who feel like they are superior. The Niners feel like they're superior to the Chargers. especially with all the injuries going on, they feel like they should be beating this team. If they are able to take as much time off the clock as they possibly can, without hurrying, without doing all of that type of stuff, they need to be more deliberate. And that being more deliberate will naturally cause more balance in the offense, more running the ball, more runs, more short passes, more short screens, right? And I mean the screens to running backs. There was a couple plays yesterday that looked like trash. There was a screen to Gerald Everett. I think it was behind the line of scrimmage. That was ugly, man. That was ugly, and it was on the short side of the field too. And they already had the defense had already declared that side of the field, so there was already an extra person on that side of the field who wasn't blocked, and it looked ugly, and it was a loss of 2. And I was like, "What the hell is going on? Like, that was ugly." That's not the type of stuff I'm talking about. I'm talking about being deliberate in what you do, using your fullbacks, right? Making sure your play action game is on point. The play action game is only going to be on point after you run the ball. That's what I'm talking about. If they're able to do that from a deliberate standpoint, without rushing, without doing that hurry up stuff, you're not the Chiefs. You're not, the Bengals. You're not any of these offenses. You are a team who is severely injured, and you got to make do with what you have. And if they can do it in, the least amount of plays, offensive plays as possible, that's where the sweet spot is for the Chargers. Do it in as many, as little plays as you possibly can, right? Put the pressure on the defense to go out there and get sacks, get turnovers, try to play with the lead, or try to play within a touchdown, a field goal, whatever. That's where the Chargers will have the most success, and that comes with balance. That obviously comes with a lot of balance. I don't want Justin Herbert throwing the ball more than 40 times a game either. It's not good for anybody. It's definitely not good for him. It's definitely not good for his health. But it's just not going to be a formula that's going to win down the stretch, especially in the second half where you're gearing up to try to make a playoff run. It's just not going to win. It's not going to win. The Chargers don't have the weapons for that. The weapons they do have right now are injured, so it's just not set up. The team is not set up for that type of style of play. Like Steven Spiller in a single back said, let's get Horvath in front of him and make him receiving threat out of the I formation. Yeah, exactly. And just like they did in the first couple of weeks, he had 2 touchdowns the first 2 weeks. Now those were goal line plays, but he's still a receiving threat though. He can still run the ball out of the backfield. He can catch the ball out of the backfield as well too. And if you're a cornerback coming up to try to tackle that big dude, you got to make a business decision. So if you put the pressure on defenses like that, it will lead to something good. But again, they got to do it. And sometimes I think they just forget. He's just standing on the sideline. He gets maybe 6 or 7 snaps a game. It's ridiculous. That dude should be playing a lot more. He should be he should be in more situations where he can make plays for the Chargers because they've seen what he can do. And there's no excuses there. Spiller is the second most natural runner on the team, and he can also create for himself. Kid has tremendous footwork. Yeah, he does. He has really good footwork, really good balance as well, too. And that's not necessarily something you see from a young running back, like a first, second year running back. You don't really see too many running backs with very good balance. The guy that comes to mind is Williams from the Broncos, Javonte Williams. Even though he got injured, he has some of the best balance that I've seen from a younger running back. And he was a rookie last year, and he was like, there's so many runs where I see this guy ends up still standing up, right? And he's been contacted several times. He's been contacted 4 or 5 times down the field, and he's still standing up. He's able to run out the sideline, run out of bounds, at the sideline, or he gets, quote unquote tackled, but he's still standing up. His balance, his pad level is very, very impressive. And Isaiah Spiller, I don't think he is the physical specimen that Williams is. He's not as, big and stout, but there's so many times where I see him, he's running behind his pads, and his footwork is very, very good. And his leverage as a runner is good as well, too. That's why he's able to kind of get through, some of these gaps. They look like they're so, compacted and all that stuff. But I've seen him get through so many of those in college, too. So he definitely has good footwork. It kind of reminds, I'm not comparing him to Emmitt Smith, but it does remind me of Emmitt Smith a little bit. You get a guy running behind his pads, and it's just his his pad level, his balance is just it's remarkable. There's not a lot of guys who run like that. Eckler kind of does a little bit, but I think it's because he's so short. I think that's just his natural running style, just because he's so small and he's shorter to the ground. But for bigger guys, like for the bigger running backs to do that, like I said, Williams comes to mind. That guy is crazy. His balance is ridiculous. Really ridiculous. Alvin Kamara is another guy too. Their balance, the way that they run behind their pads is just, it's very, very impressive. They take on all these hits, they get contacted, and so many times they get tackled without actually being on the ground. Very, 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 very rare to see that from younger players. I think that's something that a lot of guys pick up, later on in their careers, but it's very, very, very rare to see a young player doing that. But Spiller does have that ability for sure. That swing pass, that was terrible. I don't want to see that again. Everett is not a tight end who's going to run away from people. He's a guy that can give you some wiggle, at the top of a route, if you're linebacker or safety, whatever. But you don't throw swing passes to him, screen pass. You don't throw any type of stuff like that to him, where he has to break a tackle and get. He's not that kind of guy. That's the bad stuff that I'm talking about with this offense. Joe Lombardi has to be much better, much better. Everett, really too talented, did not have more than 100 plus receiving yards a game. Yeah, but he had his 100 receiving yards yesterday. He dropped it. He dropped the pass. He had like a 30 something yard pass, and that would have got the offense going in the second half, but they ended up having to punt. So again, the drops have to stop for the Chargers. If these guys are going to come out and they're going to have, be able to fill in admirably, they got to stop with the drops. Eckler drops. Palmer drops. Everett drops every game. So this has to stop. These drops have to stop. These guys they work too hard to drop all of these, and all of these drops are so open. They're open passes. I think Palmer had 2 drops yesterday, right? I think he dropped a first down pass as well too. So I think those are 4 drops that I just remember from yesterday. 4 of them, 4 drops. And, who knows what those completed passes would have led to, right? They get the offense going. You get down the field, you get into a rhythm. You're at least able to put 3 points up on the board, right? So the drops have to stop. Those are not helping the offense in any way. They got to be. They have to be better. They have to be better. They can't come in to games dropping passes like that and expecting to move the ball. You just can't have it. It's too bad. Only one on this team that should be catching swing passes at this point is Eckler, right? Yeah, Eckler, maybe DeAndre Carter if you have some type of package for him, but yeah, no, nobody should be catching swing passes at all. To be honest, these should be screens. You should have linemen get out there first, so that you're not losing a bunch of yards. Nobody has the ability to really go down the field. You can't really. I don't see anybody on this offense with the ability to take it, 70, 80 yards, with the exception of Eckler. But you got to get linemen out there first to block for him. Far too many passes behind the line of scrimmage to guys with little to no explosive. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Make guys miss is pointless. Yeah, there's no reason to have these plays. Even the plays with the, and I know Lombardi probably thinks he's being creative with it, but the plays that have the guy going in motion and the guy goes in motion behind the running backs, and the play is the play is going on and the guy who's in motion is just waiting there like 5 to 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and I guess he's just the hot outlet guy if nothing else is open. Why? It doesn't make any difference if Bandy or Josh Palmer catches the ball 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. They're going to lose yards. They're not going to get away from anybody. They're not fast enough. They don't have enough straight line speed for that. That's a Tyreek Hill play. That's a Jalen Waddle play. That's a play for somebody who has breakaway speed, which nobody on the Chargers have. So those plays, scrap them. I know they have the motion and it doesn't do anything. Just you have a better chance of just running a good crisp route, having good protection, and having Herbert drop in a dime then you have, a guy catching the ball 5 to 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage. It's just going to be a disaster, a nightmare. If they keep running those plays, Herbert should airmail those passes on purpose. If you have somebody, just throw it to him, but throw it freaking 15 feet high so he doesn't even have a chance to catch it, because those passes are just trash. They're junk. Everybody knows it. I seen that several times yesterday. It's crap. Just throw those passes out. They don't make any sense. Often they're stupid. I hate those. How about Palmer stepping up after his drop? Every catch he had down the stretch was screwed. He did. He stepped up after that drop. He did. I have to give him credit. He was definitely a difference maker down the stretch after the drop. He came in and he had two. Well, obviously the one to get the Chargers in field goal range, but before that, he had a seam route, and he got smacked pretty good, but he held onto the ball. So definitely, he had a good game. He had a good game, all things considered, but we do need more consistency out of him, though. The passes behind the line of scrimmage and receivers haven't worked out all year. Blocking is too bad on the outside. Yeah, blocking is bad, and nobody's fast enough either. Everybody runs a 4.5 or 4.6. So you have no speed. Nobody has any speed to break those, so those don't make any sense. They're just lost plays. Like, I don't know. Offense is really still. Yes, it is. Dicker was wearing Guyton's number. Does that mean that the team isn't invested in him? Is he too fast for a Lombardi offense? I don't know. Yeah, I know he was wearing number 15. I don't know. I'm not sure. I would expect that there's going to be some changes on offense next year. I don't know that for sure, but I know that you can't bring Lombardi back again for a third season. A third season of mediocrity would not make any sense. So I don't know. Whoever is going to take over the offensive reins next year, they could, if nobody gets fired or anything like that, whoever takes over offense next year could want Jalen Guyton. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's just going to be, I think the fringe guys, it depends on who takes over offense next year, because I do think that there will be another offensive coordinator next year. I don't think that the Chargers are going to do anything spectacular offensively for the rest of the season. So I think there's going to be another coordinator next year. It depends on who that coordinator is. It just depends. It honestly depends on who the coordinator is. If they want to keep him, then they'll keep him. But if they move on, or maybe they draft somebody else or whatever, I don't know. But I do think that there's going to be another offensive coordinator next year. I think at this point you have to. There's really no other options. They have to get another offensive mind in there. They have to switch offensive philosophies. They got to go to something West Coast. This offense ain't working out. It doesn't get anybody open. It's very predictable. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, though, so that's why this offense doesn't look like a bottom 5 offense, but it's not good. It's just not a good scheme at all. So Lombardi scared of deep balls. Offense is trash. Defense can't keep bailing out the O. Yeah, the offense is not, like I said, there's going to be another offensive coordinator next year. I don't know who. We've seen the Colts coach, Frank Reich. He just got fired this morning. So if I am Staley or any other coach who needs a offensive coordinator, that guy's on the list. Obviously, I think he coached with the Chargers not too long ago too. I think it was like 2013, 12, 13, whatever it was. I think he was a quarterback coach for Phillip Rivers in San Diego. So I think it was 2011. So I can't remember when, but I know he was a quarterback coach for the Chargers for a while. So I think that guy goes on the list of potential offensive coordinators to replace Joe Lombardi. There's other guys out there too who are going to be on the list, but I think this offense is not the same next year. I think this completely different offense, completely different coordinator next year. I actually feel like this game, the concepts downfield were pretty good. Far too often this season, the routes were too condensed. Too many receivers in the same area yesterday seemed less clustered. Yeah, it did. It did. Yeah. I think they were trying to. I don't know if it was Herbert trying to go down the field. Well, I'm pretty sure it was Herbert going down the field. He looked like he was more healthy. So I'm sure he was trying to push the ball down the field. And like I said, not like down the field, not deep balls, but he looked like he was trying to throw the ball past 10 to 15 yards, which is something that he should be doing on a regular, right? You shouldn't just be throwing 5 yard outs and all that stuff. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was something that the Falcons did, but again, I have to wait for the tape to come out. But he was pushing the ball downfield, and it was less clustered. Um, I think maybe just a week of practice, having those guys not step in after, because Mike Williams, when he got hurt against Seattle, that was in the third quarter. So you had guys come in. That game was kind of just messy. There was some miscommunication in that game as well too. So just maybe having a week of practice kind of cleared some of that up. But yeah, no, it did look a lot less clustered. And there weren't receivers in the same areas. Yes, and that was one thing that I noticed too. A lot of receivers in the same areas. Like what is going on? And that happened too much to think that guys were just having miscommunications. There was something offensively that wasn't clicking. There was something Lombardi was doing. I don't know if the calls were clear. I don't know if guys were understanding their assignments, or when Herbert calls the plays, were the practice squad guys, are they, fully in their playbooks? Do they know what part of the play call goes to them? I don't know. There's a lot of things to think about when it comes to that. If we keep winning these games, will Lombardi stay? I don't think so. I just don't think so. There's going to be too many guys out on the market. There's going to be too many coaches who are getting fired, too many offensive guys who are going to move on. I think there's going to be a lot of talent as far as the offensive coordinators go, or potential offensive coordinators. There's going to be a lot of guys on the market. And I was going to come on here. I was actually going to make a video. I wrote them down. I had a bunch of names that I written down. There's going to be on the list for potential offensive coordinator changes. And I think I had Frank Reich, and that was even before he got fired. There was a couple other guys as well too. Pep Hamilton, I think, is a guy that he coached it before, but I think he's a guy maybe you can look at him possibly too. Obviously, with the Texans, they're not the most talented team. They're probably going to be picking number one. So Pep Hamilton he'll probably be available. Another guy that I thought is a kind of dark horse candidate. Anybody remember Joe Brady? Joe Brady was a assistant with the Saints, like a almost like a coffee boy type assistant. He was an assistant with the Saints for a couple of years. Then he ended up getting the he was a co-offensive coordinator with LSU, the LSU Tigers, that 2019 year with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. He was calling plays for that team when they won the national championship and they went undefeated. He was calling plays for them, and then he ended up getting hired by Matt Rule in Carolina, and I think he was the coordinator for like 1 year, and then Matt Rule fired him. But anyway, he is the quarterback coach now for the Buffalo Bills. I think he's going to get some interviews for offensive coordinator position. He does not he was, with the Saints. He was with Sean Payton, and he kind of learned some stuff from him. He brought some of those concepts to LSU, but he does not have the Sean Payton type of. He's not going to run a Sean Payton type of offense. He's not going to run the great value Sean Payton offense like Joe Lombardi is. He kind of has his own thing. He's working with Josh Allen this year. So I think he might be on the list too. I got to find it. I have a bunch of notepads around here. Somewhere on the list. I was going to make a video about that because there's going to be some guys out on the market who are going to be able to potentially be able to take over. Another guy on the list, and some people might not agree with it, but I think just putting it out there, some people are probably not going to agree with it and say, oh, no. I think Matt Nagy is going to be a guy that could be looked at as the offensive coordinator as well, too. Matt Nagy is, as we all know, Matt Nagy, he did not have a great stint in Chicago. They didn't put nothing around him, though. He had no offensive talent whatsoever. He had Mr. Trubisky at quarterback, but they made the playoffs 2 years, 2 out of his 4 years. That's not bad. to make the playoffs with Mitch Trubisky 2 out of his 4 years ain't bad. It's really not bad at all. He is a Andy Reid guy. He is very, very well versed in the West Coast offense. I think he would be a very good candidate to take over the offensive coordinator position. Now, that depends on if Eric Bieniemy is going to stay in Kansas City. I don't think Eric Bieniemy is going to get a head coaching job anytime soon. I've heard some stuff about him that is not flattering. He has some type of issues. I don't know exactly what they are, but I've heard somebody say that he is not going to get a head coaching job anytime soon. And I know that he is really wanting the head coaching job, and he has been, kind of putting his name out there and throwing fillers out, but he's not going to get hired. So I don't know. I don't know if Eric Bieniemy stays as offensive coordinator. If he doesn't stay as offensive coordinator, then I think Nagy moves up and goes back to offensive coordinator with Andy Reid. But as of right now, he's a quarterback coach in Kansas City. Matt Nagy is I think he would be a very good candidate. He does know this Andy Reid offense very well. I think he knows it better than Eric Bieniemy. He has been. I think he's been with Andy Reid since the Eagles. I want to say. I think he started out with the Eagles with Andy Reid, so he's been under Andy Reid for a long time. So he knows this offense really, really well. So I would be interested to see if that guy, if he's out there, if he's available, if he would take the offensive coordinator job with the Chargers, because I think that would be, a lot of people could say whatever they want about him as a head coach, but I think offensively, his offensive mind is a lot more advanced than Joe Lombardi's. Let's just say that, he's a guy that's out there. He's a guy that's out there. Let's just say that. So, let's see. I take Nagy as OC in the heartbeat. He's creative. Yeah, he's from the Andy Reid tree. And he's not going to. He has his own style, right? His offense did not look exactly like Andy Reid's in Chicago. I mean, for obvious reasons. You don't have a Mahomes and you don't have a Tyreek Hill or Kelsey. You can't do the same type of stuff. But he's been coaching long enough, and he is well versed enough to know that you have to kind of customize your offense around who you have as quarterback. And I think he knows that as well as anybody, right? Because he got Mitchell Trubisky to the playoffs twice. I don't think any other coach out there right now can get Mitch Trubisky to the playoffs twice as your starting quarterback. He was not even able to make it 5 games as a starting quarterback in Pittsburgh. So it says a lot that Nagy was able to get that guy with that team, with that, pedestrian offense to the playoffs twice. That says a lot. So it's to me, that's a check mark on his record. That's definitely a great thing where he can take, something that is, the talent is just not there and, can have so much success with it and get it to the playoffs. It's that. To me, that looks good, but I know a lot of people have a lot of bad things to say about Nagy and all that stuff. But whatever. Him and Mahomes be screaming at each other. Yeah. Him and Eric Bieniemy. Yeah, Bieniemy's not a. I don't know. There's something about him that he's not. He has some type of attitude issue or something like that. That's what I've been told about him. So I don't know him, but yeah, our offense feels like it's designed for Chase Daniel to be able to step in without any noticeable decline. Like, what's the purpose of having Herbert outside of selling more tickets? Right. Because this offense there's no creativity. It's the same stuff every week. There's no different packages in, and you don't feature guys. Like, if you've been watching the Chiefs play for the past 3 weeks, right? McCole Hardman has had like 4 or 5 touchdowns in the past 3 weeks because Andy Reid has seen, okay, we have to get this guy, we have to feature him, right? There's matchups. We have, favorable matchups the next 3 weeks, right? Hardman is going to be able to get loose or whatever, so let's feature him. And that's what they've done. He scored a bunch of touchdowns in these past 3 weeks because they've come out and they featured him. They have seen stuff on tape, right, where they figure they're able to get a favorable matchup, right? Let's move him in motion. Let's give him a jet sweep. Let's do this. Let's do that. There's specific game planning for specific players to get going. And they game plan just against different defenses as well too. So they might come out, they might try to run the ball more against a shoddy run defense, right? Or if it's a defense that's super aggressive, let's throw some screens, right? Let's get the ball out of Mahomes' hands very quickly, and let's get the ball downfield, right? Let's throw a screen, get a block, and try to spring Kelsey, try to spring Juju Smith-Schuster or whoever. Like, they game plan for specific things. They don't just come out and run the same stuff, week in and week out, which is something that the Chargers do, right? No matter who is playing them, no matter what defense, how aggressive, how passive they are, they run the same plays every week. And that is, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And that's literally what the season has been. Sometimes the Chargers offense has looked okay, sometimes it's looked shitty. And that's because they run the same stuff every week. And it just depends on whoever defends it, right? If they defend it shitty, then the offense looks pretty good. And if they defend it well, then our offense looks pretty shitty. So it just literally goes back and forth every single week. So it's one of those things that they have to get more consistent game planning. They have to get more consistent trying to get other guys involved, right? Maybe it's a Mike Williams week. Maybe it's a Keenan Allen week. Maybe it's a Josh Palmer week. Maybe it's a Donald Parham week. You never know. Like, there's so many weapons that the Chargers don't take advantage of. And just because they don't game plan for it. And if you have a guy who has been under Andy Reid, if you have a guy who has had experience doing that type of stuff, you're going to get more offensive production week in and week out. You're going to be able to feature some of your star players more week in and week out if you have a guy that's done that. Joe Lombardi hasn't done that. He didn't do it for the Saints. He was never the offensive coordinator. I know a lot of people think that. Don't know why, but all that information is easily searchable online. He was never the offensive coordinator for the Saints. He was only the quarterback coach, but he was the offensive coordinator 1 year or a year and a half in Detroit. He got fired because he wasn't good, and he's not doing the same. He's doing the same things for the Chargers. He's not featuring the talent on the field. He is throwing plays out there, and whoever is at the X position or the Y position or whatever, they should be the guy that make the play. It doesn't matter who it is, right? Doesn't matter how talented they are. Doesn't matter how mediocre they are. They're the guys that are going to be running those routes. So it's really up to the quarterback at that point to make guys look good, and it's not fair. That's not what good offensive coaches do. Good offensive coaches make everybody look good. They make everybody's jobs easier on offense. So I think getting a guy who is under Andy Reid or was under Andy Reid, I think that'll make a big difference. But a lot of people are probably not going to agree with that. So yeah, let's see. I'm just saying, maybe now that it seems like Justin is feeling better, maybe he airs it out more. I'm not trying to fall on defending Lombardi, but there's definitely multiple factors that go into our struggles. Yeah, but even when Justin was healthy, though, he wasn't airing it out. They were still dinking and dunking. So, it really is up to him. It's up to him to go downfield. It's up to him to take more chances downfield, and I think that's what he's going to do now. And I think that's what he feels like he needs to do because everybody's out, right? There's a lot of injuries, and obviously you can't make up for that. But I think he is going to get more aggressive, and you've seen it yesterday. He got more aggressive, and I feel like he is going to be that way down the stretch because he feels like he needs to, because we have to make plays, because we have to make up for the points that we're not going to get without Keenan Allen, without Mike Williams there. I think he's going to get down the field, and I think he's going to be a lot more aggressive than he normally is. And, I guess that could be a good thing, but, that also sets up for more turnovers as well, too. Guys are dropping balls, they're tipping passes, so that sets up for more interceptions. It could be a good and bad thing. I think if you are a great offensive coordinator, you scheme those plays open, right? The Andy Reids of the world, the Doug Petersons of the world, they scheme those plays open. Guys are open downfield. They're able to catch a ball, at 10 or 12 yards and be able to turn it upfield and turn it into a 20, 30-yard gain. So those type of plays are schemed into offenses, and I don't necessarily think it's up to the quarterback to push the ball downfield, because if you are impatient about it, you're going to turn the ball over. And I think that's one thing that we have to watch out for. If Herbert is, if he's feeling better and he wants to go downfield and he does get impatient, the turnovers are going to come. There's going to be more turnovers, but honestly, they should be schemed in. The big plays downfield should be schemed in, and if they're not, then hopefully there's not too much frustration, and hopefully Herbert is still able to make better decisions, rather than just throwing the ball downfield every play. Because I sometimes he does look like he gets a little bit you know impatient sometimes with the play calling. Miami has a coach we should have hired. McDaniel's offense is so creative, and he designs concepts around his players instead of plug and play. 100%, 100%. Especially when you have Tyreek and when you have Jalen Waddle, there's so much you can do with him, and he does. He designs everything around them, and Tua is back there playing, pitch and catch pretty much. Tua is he's obviously having a much better season this year, but he's underthrowing these guys by a lot. I seen it yesterday too, but the scheme allows him to underthrow these guys. The scheme allows him to not be accurate because these guys are so fast. They are great at adjusting to catches. They have, it's him, it's Tyreek Hill, it's Waddle, Gesicki. They have weapons. And these guys are open, and they are schemed open. And Tua is just delivering these balls to open receivers. And it looks easy because I don't want to say it is easy, but it's much easier for him to sit back and look at these guys running wide open, where he doesn't have to be accurate. He doesn't have to deliver a strike. He doesn't have to throw through windows. He doesn't have to throw guys open. They're open. That's what the scheme is. The creativity in the offense is there, and that's what it looks like. And imagine Justin Herbert with that. That's what I tell people all the time. Imagine Justin Herbert with that, right? Not even the weapons, but with the scheme. Imagine Keenan Allen, imagine Mike Williams running that open. Like, it just doesn't happen. It comes harder, a lot harder in this offense. This is why Herbert's degree of difficulty is much higher than Tua's. Much higher than Tua, especially this year. You have two opposites as far as play callers go. So the degree of difficulty is so much higher for Justin Herbert, and that's why I said he gets impatient sometimes when he gets down the field. I mean, he'll throw the 5-yard outs and all of that stuff, but when he's healthy, he wants to go down the field. He wants to deliver the ball down the field. He wants to have those big strikes, and if they're not there, sometimes he will try to throw somebody open, and sometimes it goes good, sometimes it's an interception. But that's what you have when you don't have a play caller who wants to take advantage of scheming guys open downfield. You can do it. It takes some work and stuff, but it can happen. There's guys around the league who do it all the time, and you don't need the fastest receivers to do it as well either. The Bills do it. The Bills don't have the fastest receivers. I think Stephon Diggs is a 4 or 5 guy. I think Gabe Davis is a 4 or 5 guy. They don't have a lot of super speed guys either. So it just takes some time, takes some work, and it takes an offensive coordinator who knows what he's doing. That's really all it takes. Even when the Saints were at their best and Sean Payton was, taking them, they're going to the playoffs every year. They didn't really have a lot of super speed guys. I remember Marcus Colson wasn't a speed guy. They didn't. I don't remember him having a lot of Lance Moore. These guys were guys who worked underneath, but they would get schemed open down the field. And this was in the same quote unquote offense that the Chargers is running now. So there wasn't super speed guys. These routes are open down the field. So I mean, it really just depends on who your offensive coordinator is, your play designs, and how you dictate games, how you call plays, in specific situations. If you're not aggressive, then you're not going to call aggressive plays. So, and all of it, your offense just picks up on who the play caller is, right? You develop the tendencies of the play caller. Your play caller has the offensive DNA in his hand. So if you're not aggressive, if you're consistently conservative, that's what your offense is going to look like. And that's what the Chargers offense has looked like so far. So Lombardi is just playing boring and predictable at his best. Watching these plays are boring. Yes. And it's up to Herbert to really go out there and make plays. And that's what it is. It shouldn't just be up to the quarterback. These plays should be open. The downfield plays, if you're going to go downfield, there should be something saying, okay, I need to go downfield here. This is going to be open. I know this play is going to be open. I know this scheme is going to, have this player open. And then that should dictate the player, your quarterback going downfield, not just the quarterback himself saying, I'm going to throw this guy open. There should be something there to say, hey, this guy's going to be open. I know he's going to be open because of scheme, not just because I want to throw him open. So that's the difference with us and other teams and other offensive coordinators. When I see Herbert, I feel like he doesn't like to make a hospital pass, so he also checks it down or hold on to the ball. Maybe that's me too. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. He does do a lot of checking down. A lot of it is just so you don't lose yards or so he doesn't take a big hit. But that's what the offense is. Again, that's what the DNA is. The DNA is to be conservative in this offense, and that's what this offense is. They're conservative. They also have the fastest offense in football. It's kind of incomparable. They do have the fastest offense in football, but you got to remember that when he was the offensive coordinator for the Niners, now he didn't call plays, but he was obviously with Kyle Shanahan. He had a lot of input and all that stuff. These same concepts, the same route concepts, the same schemes, they're the same. They're the same when you look at it. Now McDaniels has his own little spin on it, but the concepts are there. The routes are there. The open routes down the field are there. Even when you look at the Niners play, they haven't played all that well on offense this year, but when they have gotten going, George Kittle down the field, open. Obviously Deebo Samuel gets open down the field, right? He is a guy that he's one of the best, with the ball in his hands, right? He's not comparable either to anybody else. But you look at even some of the other guys on the outside, Elijah Mitchell, open, coming out of the backfield. I can't remember what his name is. Number 15, is it Jennings? Open. He's open a lot. That guy gets open the most for any non-name wide receiver that I've seen. And it's all because of scheme. I don't think he's that great beating anybody off the line one-on-one, but he gets open. And every time I've seen, and this was last week as well too, he got open a bunch against Jalen Ramsey. He was lined up on the side Jalen Ramsey was lined up on when they played the Rams. He got open a bunch, and the scheme opened him up. Obviously, Jalen Ramsey is a better player than him, right? If you're looking just at their skills, but he gets open. How does Jennings get open so much? It's because of scheme. They scheme him open. It's because of the route combinations, right? They are running things that defenses have a hard time trying to stop. And, there's so much to worry about, with the check down, so much to worry about with Kittle down the middle of the field, so much to worry about with Deebo Samuel maybe going in motion and stuff. Jennings gets open because of scheme, and their scheme allows them to have these open receivers. And that's why Jimmy Garoppolo is able to, complete some of the most wide open throws in the league. I think he completes, and I don't know for a fact, I don't have, the stats, but every time I see him completing throws like that, these guys are open. Jimmy Garoppolo don't never throw into windows. He don't ever throw into windows because he don't need to. These guys are running across the field wide ass open. They're schemed open. That's what their offense is, and it just looks so easy. It looks easy, compared to the Chargers offense. It looks easy. It looks just night and day. So I do think the Chargers have to move on in the offseason. They got to get a guy who has some type of West Coast offense experience, a guy who has either been a coordinator or a head coach before. They need somebody with experience who is going to bring the best out of not only Herbert, but the offense, and make things easier for Herbert so that he doesn't have to play hero ball every week for the Chargers to win. We have the slowest. Our O-line can keep pace with our wideouts. Yeah, we do have our offense ain't the fastest. Drafting wide receiver and running back high this year. Definitely, I think a probably a receiver and a tight end. I would say a receiver and a tight end within the first 3 rounds. That's what they definitely have to get because they need more speed at receiver. They need a better tight end. I thought Gerald Everett was going to have a big year, and he could have, but he has dropped so many passes. He has been on, not really the same wavelength as Justin Herbert a few times. He has all the physical tools, but he just, for whatever reason, he can't put it together. So I think the Chargers got to go wide receiver and tight end in this draft. They definitely think so. Wide receiver and tight end, I'm hoping Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee, yeah, that boy can play. He can play. He's got a bunch of touchdowns this year. He had 5 touchdowns on Alabama for sure. He can play. He can really, really, really play. Definitely. Or even I'm not sure if the receivers from I don't think they're eligible yet though. The USC receivers, Addison, Jordan Addison and Mario Williams. I don't think that they're eligible, but those guys can play. They can fly too, and they're very, very good. Niners offense works because the run is always a threat. Yeah, and that's where it starts. It always starts with the run game. Their run game is obviously always towards the top, like almost every single season. So it's all in the scheme. It's all in the scheme. If they're able to run the ball, wide receivers are able to get open. All in the scheme. It's very simple. Very simple. You see it on tape all the time. 49ers third string ball boy better play caller than Sleepy Joe. Yeah. Yeah. You call him Joe Lombardi Sleepy Joe. That's hilarious. That's that is hilarious. Damn. That's funny. I didn't think of that. Lombardi committed to the power run scheme for 1 week versus the Browns, which paid high dividends, and then we went right back to zone blocking scheme since 100%. 100%. Power run game against the Browns, hat on a hat. Seen it on tape. I watched that game twice on tape. Hat on a hat. Everybody getting downfield, being physical as hell. Zion Johnson being physical as hell. Jamari Sawyer being physical as hell up against Myles Garrett. It was a hat on a hat game, and yes, it sprung. It did spring the run game, and it did pay high dividends. Eckler and Kelly both balled out that game. Both of them balled the F out that game. And yeah, it was easy on the offense. Herbert was still nursing that injury, but he didn't have to do anything. All he had to do was complete a few passes here, there, bam, 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 and they win the game. Yes, but he went back to the zone scheme, and it sucks. And it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything for this offense because there's no speed. So this zone scheme doesn't do anything with the lack of speed out there. There's nothing to worry about. You're not going to give up any big plays against this Charger offense if you're a defense. You can be fully aggressive. If you are a DB, if you're a linebacker, you can be fully 100% aggressive and you can step forward because they're not going to go behind you. That's pretty much the crux of this offense, and that's pretty much what everybody has figured out about the Charger offense. And it's amazing that we're 5-3 right now. It really is. Really, really is because it's so simple. Blocking tight end. We do need a blocking tight end too. Yes, we need a blocking tight end. Trey McKitty has not done a good job at all. Can we get Virgil Green out of retirement, please? Let's see. I say we drafted tight end high this year. If there's a good one, we need to open up the middle. Yeah, we do. There is a tight end. I don't know if I think he's a junior. When I was watching the Georgia and Tennessee game, he's number 0 for Georgia. His name is Washington. He's 6'7", 270. And this dude is built like a freaking a WWE wrestler. He looks unreal. He looks like a freaking action figure. He's huge. 6'7", 270. He is the best blocking tight end in the country by far. And when he plays, when he lines up, it's like having another tackle out there. He was mauling the Tennessee defenders out there. And Tennessee is a good-ass team. They have a good-ass defense. Very physical, very fast. And they have some big guys out there. And he was handling. He's 6'7", 270. I don't know. I think he is draft eligible. That's somebody who the Chargers should be looking at to bring in because he can also catch the ball out of the back, not out of the backfield. He can catch the ball as well, too. 6'7", 270. That is almost like having another tackle. You line that guy up next to Rashawn Slater next year. Oh my God, there's so much you can do with that. Oh, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, and he can catch the ball too. And I think he runs like a 4.5 or something like that. Physical freak, absolute physical freak. That's somebody who the Chargers should be all in on because that dude can block. He can catch. Yeah, he is massive, and he's yoked up too. He ain't got got a 6-pack and everything. He's yoked. That dude is a physical freak. Y'all, I can't remember what his first name is. I know his name is Washington. His last name is Washington. Physical freak though. Physical freak, physical monster. And I think he's a junior. I think he's draft eligible. Do you see us making the playoffs? Honestly, the way things are going right now, I'm gonna have to say yes with the way that things are going. There's not a lot of great play going on in the AFC. Well, I mean, in the NFC either. Like, there's not a great. This is a year of parity. The Chiefs are good. They can be beaten though. We seen that last night. They can be beaten. They are not. They're having trouble up front protecting Mahomes. He got hit a bunch last night. I think he got sacked 5 times. The Bills are good, but the Bills are not. They're not buttoned up. They turn the ball over. Josh Allen takes way too many risks, unnecessary risks too, with some of these throws. He gets wild, very wild with the ball, a la Brett Favre. Some of the most head-scratching interceptions that you'll ever see. He threw a couple last week on Sunday Night Football. He just threw 2 more yesterday. He turns the ball over they turn the ball over way too much, way too much. That's the Bills are everybody's Super Bowl favorite, but those turnovers can keep them out of the I can definitely keep them out of the Super Bowl. I think Josh Allen has to be more structured in the way that he plays. I know they tell him, it's okay to do all of that stuff, but he's got to be more structured. He cannot come out and continue to throw the ball away. He does that way too much, way too much. And that is what he does. Like, he's developed those bad habits, and he's had those bad habits since he came into the league. He kind of, put him down a little bit, kind of tapered off a little bit, but now he's picking it back up. He does too much. I think he does way too much. He could, benefit from throwing the ball away or sliding sometimes, but that would worry me if I'm a Bills fan. They turn the ball over too much. And all it takes is one in the playoffs. All it takes is one bad turnover in the playoffs, and your season can be done. So I think at this point right now, if I had to answer, honestly, I would say yes, the Chargers make the playoffs. I don't know if we win a game or not, but I do think at this point right now, yes, we do win a game based off of kind of by proxy a little bit, right? If we keep just winning and keeping pace, we're going to make the playoffs because nobody else is really running away with it. So I think yes. Let's see, that wide receiver from SMU, Jordan Addison, is coming out this draft. He is a junior, so he is coming out the draft. Okay. Jordan Addison, yeah, definitely. I like Jordan Addison for sure. Been calling him Sloppy Joe, but Sloppy Joe's yeah. Michael Mayer. Oh yeah, Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. He's very good, very very good. I like him. Notre Dame, that's tight end you, so they always got somebody coming out who's on the ball. Yeah. There's a bunch of guys who are going to come in this year who are going to be ready. Alabama has a couple of guys. I think the LSU has a guy, Keyshawn Booty. I think he's pretty good as well too. There's a bunch of talent. There's a bunch of college talent out there waiting to pop in the NFLs. So hopefully the Chargers are able to improve these positions going forward. But as for right now, this is what we got. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this live stream off now. We had 1 hour and 48 minutes. So damn, I just wanted to come on here and do like 30 minutes, but it's been a long live stream. Let's see. Did you have a new baby? And can your baby take over offensively? Yeah, I got a new baby. Yeah, she'll be ready to call some plays here pretty soon. Soon as she gets out of Pampers in a year or 2 or a year and a half, whatever. Yeah, she'll be ready to call plays. Yes, I do have a new baby. That's why I'm not on as much, tending to her, trying to get her acclimated to the world now. But yeah, she'll be ready to call plays here pretty soon. We're working on that as we speak. TCU wide receiver. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I can't remember what his name. Yeah, that guy pops every week too. He's very, very good. Damn, his name is escaping me. He's very, very, he's explosive. I watched him that Kansas game. Yeah, he I seen him take one to the house. I was like, damn, who was that? Yeah, he pops off the screen, and he popped in the Oklahoma game as well too. Yeah, I know you're talking about. Jacob Cowing, remember that name? Jacob Cowing, where is he? Who does he go? Who does he play for? What school does he go to? Jacob Cowing. That sounds familiar. I've heard all of these names before. There's too much to worry about in college. Let's see. Who does he play? Arizona. Okay, Arizona Wildcats. I didn't watch the USC game, so I didn't watch the USC Arizona game. It was on the Pac-12 network, and I don't have it, so I I haven't heard of him. So he runs 4.4. Okay, he's a slot wide receiver. Okay, okay, yeah. I'm gonna be looking out for him too. So he is, yeah, he's draft eligible too. So Allen versus Herbert. I'm tired of people saying Herbert is a turnover machine when there are also other quarterbacks out there throwing all behind. Yeah, Josh Allen throws a bunch of turn. Josh Allen throws the worst picks by any good quarterback. Um, Up until, I mean, Aaron Rodgers yesterday, he threw some pretty bad interceptions, but that's not typically what he does. But Josh Allen has made, that's part of his career arc, is him throwing bad interceptions. He throws very bad interceptions. He does not. He's very careless with the ball. He turns the ball over a lot. Now he kind of makes up for it in the running game, but he throws very bad interceptions, puzzling interceptions. If you watch Sunday Night Football against the Packers last week, he threw two of them to, I think both of them were when they were in plus territory. So I don't know what he does with the ball. Again, he can benefit from throwing the ball away or sliding sometimes and not trying to take everybody up head on. But he is careless with the ball. And when he gets out there and he gets out of the pocket and he starts running and he starts trying to throw across his body and stuff, he gets picked off a lot. So he does throw the ball away. Justin Herbert does not do that. I think Herbert has five interceptions on the season, and I think only one of them has actually been his fault. The other ones have been tipped and stuff. One of them has actually been his fault that he actually threw. He doesn't throw the ball away. He doesn't give the ball away like that. He's very careful with the ball. He will throw the ball away. He'll slide and he'll take a quote unquote sack to avoid a hit. He takes care of his body and he takes care of the ball. So that's something that Josh Allen doesn't do. Josh Allen is more exciting to watch, I guess you could say. Yeah, but Josh Allen takes a lot of risks. He takes a lot of chances. So does Lamar Jackson as well, too. Lamar Jackson throws a lot of bad balls, a lot of bad interceptions. Again, they're just mind-blowing interceptions, but they don't get talked about. It doesn't get talked about. Only with Herbert, like, oh, he's struggling. He's throwing so many interceptions. Like, get out of here with that, man. I don't want to hear that. That's for Emmanuel Acho to go out there and talk about Herbert's interceptions and all that stuff. Herbert only has one INT this year. That was a bad decision. Exactly. The other ones weren't his fault. The other one was all five. Like the other four were not his fault at all. Just he threw an interception yesterday. Ball got tipped. It was right in the hands. It was right where it needed to be to Josh Palmer. He didn't catch it. Ball got tipped up, got picked. Like those are interceptions. They go on the record. They're interceptions. They are not his fault though. So he only has one true interception this year. He has kept the ball out of harm's way, even with all of the receiver woes and all that stuff. He's kept the ball out of harm's way. He protects the ball. That's what he does. He's not a guy that just goes out there and throws to the other team. He doesn't get wild and start throwing across his body and all. He doesn't do that. He's very measured in what he does as a quarterback. So, yeah, but it doesn't get talked about. It's only it gets showed on the stat sheet as an interception. That's what people talk about. Yeah, against Casey, you could say Everett, but Herbert threw. Yeah, and Joe Lombardi called the stupid hurry up too. So that was everybody's fault on that one, I guess. But it still it wasn't just Herbert just making a bad decision throwing. So two of the interceptions were on Everett. Yeah, yesterday was 100% on Palmer. Yeah, just bad wide receiver play, not catching balls. Like you want to play, you get the ball right there in your face, you don't catch it, it gets tipped up, intercepted. It is what it is. But yeah, man. Okay, so we 153 into it, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it short here, guys. Thank you guys for joining me so much. Thank you for all the support. I really appreciate it. Shout out to all my new subscribers. I will be dropping more content this week. Last week was kind of a mulligan. I had to get the new baby, used to things and feedings and changing diapers and all that stuff. So she's starting to get into the swing of things now. So I think we're good. We're going to be good to make more content as we go along here. So really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate all the support. Thank you guys. I will be back. I will probably, I was, thinking about maybe possibly going to this game, the Niner game, but I don't know. It's up north, so I don't, I'm not quite sold on it yet. I do love going to Levi Stadium though. It is beautiful. I love the San Jose area, so it is nice, but probably not going to go to it, but I will be making a lot more content as the week goes along. I'm going to be covering this tape too. I can't wait for the tape to come out. I'm going to go over some of the things that I saw to confirm what I saw, things that I seen just in game speed. But when the tape comes out, we'll have more, visual confirmation of things that I saw and things that I might be on. So yeah, I will definitely see you guys later. Be dropping content tomorrow, so be back into the swing of things. And thank you guys so much for all the support. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you. She's beautiful, and we are getting her into the swing of things now. So, but that's all I got for this one, guys. I will see you guys again later. Thank you guys so much for all the support, and until next time.